Okay. So does anybody actually have a cake with them today? Is anybody baking, like decorating with me?
Reed is ready to
All
go.
right.
Hi,
Are
Cool.
you
Jesse.
ready?
I was gonna try, Katie, but it just did not work out. I actually even pulled out my old frosting recipe and everything, but
Life.
life, yeah. So I'll watch you and Reed.
Okay. Oh, I'm super excited. What kind of cake do you have, Reed?
It is a boxed Pillsbury cake that I went to the grocery store at 6 a.m. to buy, and then I baked it, but I made your buttercream. So,
Oh, you did?
yeah, of course.
Aw, I'm so excited.
Yeah,
Okay.
Katie, to give you a heads up, whenever I sent a blast out on Wednesday, and I included your chocolate and vanilla buttercream recipes, like links to them, if people
Oh,
wanted to make them to join along.
perfect. Because I have the chocolate buttercream today. So that's what we're going to be working with.
Beautiful.
I am, should we just get started? Do you guys just want to go?
Let's go.
let's
We're
do
all
it.
Okay.
so ready.
Turn this up. There we are. Okay. So I am making a vanilla cake with chocolate frosting. This cake is actually going to be on my blog. I thought I'd do like a twofer. We could do this decorating session, and then I'd also be able to use it for content for my blog. So I will grab the cake. I stacked it this morning. I crumb coated it, and then I gave it a final coating as well. So it's just chilling in my fridge. Um, Over here, I have what I call my cake fridge. And that's where I keep all like my cake supplies and treats and stuff that my family knows that they can't eat any of that stuff until it gets moved to the regular fridge. And then they can, go to town on all of it.
What
So
a great system. That is awesome.
it was happening so much when the girls were little. And I came in one day and I had just cake layers chilling in the fridge. And I came and pulled them out for an order. And then there was little nibbles along the edges of the entire.
Oh no.
And I was like, okay, this is not going to work. We need to figure out a different system. So we do that, and it works pretty
Nice.
well. Yeah.
Well done. Well done. So, Katie, as you get set up, can you tell us a little bit about just like your background with cake, how you learned to decorate cakes, like how long it's taken you to refine this skill because you're such an expert at what you do?
Um, Good question. So I didn't do, I mean, I baked a little bit with my mom as a kid, but we didn't do cakes or anything like that. I didn't start doing cakes until I was on maternity leave with my oldest daughter. We were living way north, even more north than what I am now. And it was freezing cold. I had her in the middle of winter, and we had just this teeny tiny little kitchen. Like the kitchen was maybe like just this, it was tiny. And it was the warmest place in the house with the oven. And so I would just put her on the counter on her little baby seat, and I just started to bake. And so it was like started with cookies and muffins and that kind of easy stuff. But as I continued to do it, I really loved it. And so I started with cupcakes, and then eventually just made my way to cake. And I just fell in love with the whole process of creating, seeing something go from just, ingredients to cake layers to a stacked cake to a frosted cake to a cake with swirls or sprinkles. Um, and it just felt like really rewarding and really creative. I've never considered myself a creative person before that. And it just felt like it made me come alive almost, that part of me. And so I just continued doing that. I was always giving away cupcakes for just having fun in the kitchen. And then it grew and it grew. And my first cake that I ever decorated was for another friend's baby shower. And that was one that I like pulled out all the stops for. And I just thought, like, gosh, this was really fun. Maybe I could make a business of it. And so I kept doing cakes and took some pictures of them. And it just really organically grew until I was doing cakes for all family birthdays, all family events, and then friends' birthdays and friends' events, and then friends of friends' birthdays. And yeah, I just grew organically. I need to mute my phone here. Sorry, guys. Sorry, I was a neighbor. Yeah, and it just grew organically. And then so when my youngest daughter, I have three girls, was about one, I started taking orders. And it was just from my home kitchen, just a home bakery. And I did that for a few years and then eventually decided that I actually loved the process of baking recipes and coming up with cake flavors. So then I transitioned right actually when COVID happened, transitioned into a baking blog. And that's what I'm doing now still. And then I still do, like, I'm the family baker. I still do all the birthday cakes. And then occasionally I just did some grad cupcakes. Another friend, her son is graduating. So I'm happy to do those kind of things. But now it's just more so out of love than taking orders. But yeah, that's kind of my story with cake. It's just, it makes me happy. It's my love language, as I'm sure, well, you guys are all foodies, right? Food is probably your love language. That's how you tell people you love them. And that's how it is with me. So if you ever get cupcakes or cookies or cake or anything, it's my way of saying I love you. So that's it. You guys ready to go?
Let's
So I thought
go.
fun if there's anything in the chat, can somebody just like let me know?
Absolutely. I can field
Question?
help you share. I'll share questions as people have them. And
Thank you.
Allie
Okay.
did say that your story was so sweet. No pun intended.
Sweet, thank you. So this again is the recipe for it's a plant-based chocolate buttercream. I love working with American buttercream. Those are always my go-to. With that said, though, my recipe for American buttercream is a lot less sweet than the regular one. I don't use any milk or cream usually. And then I reduce the powdered sugar so the consistency is going to be nice and smooth. When you are frosting a cake, probably the number one question I'm asked is, how do you get the sides smooth? And besides my typical response, which is practice, 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 my tips are get yourself a metal cake smoother. This is actually, what's it called when you drywall? Yeah, like one of those scraper things. So this is actually from the dollar store. It's probably $1. It's a drywall scraper.
Is that different from a bench scraper, or is that the same thing?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. You want a metal one though. And Wilton has a great one. It's super cheap. And then I also have this one when I do my super tall cakes, which I love an extraordinarily tall cake. That's kind of my favorite style. But why I say is metal is because you want to be able to heat these up. And then when you run them against the cake frosting, you're going to melt a little bit of that butter, and it's going to be really silky smooth. So for heating them up, what I do, it's really loud, so that's why I didn't do it for you guys. I actually run the hot water on my sink, and then as I'm smoothing it, I just run the smoother underneath the stream of the hot water, and then it warms up the metal quite nicely. You just clean it off with a clean towel and scrape, and then keep doing that process until you have a nice smooth edge, as you can see there. So those are my biggest tips for a smooth finish. The other tip for a smooth finish is your frosting consistency. A lot of people will have a frosting that is too stiff. So if you have a frosting that's too stiff, when you apply it on, it's fine. But then when you have your scraper and you drag it, it's going to pull the frosting instead of glide it. And then you're going to get lots of divots. Another thing for texture is air bubbles. But when you do, you can even see it right now in my bowl. You can see how I've scraped that frosting up around the edges of the bowl. And this is because I am pushing it up against to push out those air bubbles. So instead of just whipping it, which is going to create more air in there, you're going to push it to get those air bubbles out. So it's almost like, have you guys ever made macarons? You know, when you're doing like a gentle, like a fold motion instead of just mixing it, it's almost the exact same. So I'm just going to push it against the sides of the bowl. And I wonder if you guys can
I have maybe
hear this.
this might be a dumb question or not, but my question is, so does that mean that you smooth it right after you frost it when like the frosting is fresh on the cake? Because I always assumed that you like let it sit and then smooth it, but is it immediate?
Yeah, so what you're gonna do is you do a crumb coat. So crumb coat is the very first layer of frosting, and that basically seals in the crumbs. After you crumb coat it, give it a quick little smooth. It doesn't need to be pretty. It doesn't need to be fancy. It's just kind of get the job done. After that, put it in the fridge to chill for about 10, 15 minutes, just so it sets. And then you're going to put in your beauty coat, your final coat. And once that's applied roughly, then you're going to smooth it right away. Because you want the, with an American buttercream especially, it's called a crusting buttercream. That means that once it's set, I'd be able to touch this without pulling off any of the frosting. So as soon as it starts to crust, you're going to have a hot mess of a time trying to smooth the cake. So apply that final beauty coat, smooth right away. Okay. After you're done smoothing it, you can choose to put it back in the fridge to chill if you want. But this is something you also need to know is if you're going to do any sprinkles with a crusting buttercream, you need to put the sprinkles on. Oh my goodness, I don't know why this keeps going like that. Sorry, you guys. You need to apply the sprinkles before it crusts. Because once it crusts, you're going to have a heck of a time putting sprinkles on. They're just not going to stick. They're not going to get that tackiness to it. So this has been in the fridge for a little bit. We can see, I'm just going to choose my, when you do cake decorating, you kind of choose an ugly side and then you choose the nice side. And that's the face where you're going to do the majority of your decorations. So
I don't think your cakes have an ugly side, Katie.
Oh, you should see some. You should see some.
Priya just said the same thing in the chat. She says, "There's an ugly side. It's all beautiful."
Okay, so I have a seed right here. So I'm just going to touch it. Okay, so mine hasn't crusted yet because I just pulled off a little bit of frosting, so it's not crusted. All right, so we're going to use sprinkles. These are the sprinkle pop ones. What are they called? The pastel confetti. I don't know if this exact blend is on FoodSocial or not, but for sprinkles, sprinkle pop is my favorite. I absolutely love their stuff. I'll show you guys over here. I have a sprinkle wall.
Oh my God.
I had so many, and this is like really good. When I was doing orders, I had hundreds of those bottles. My dad made me that rack to hang on the fridge to keep all my sprinkles in place where I could see them.
And if any of you want to check out the sprinkles that have officially been endorsed by Caked by Katie, Bill dropped the link because they are actually on the FoodSocial market.
Yes. And what I love about the sprinkle pot sprinkles is that they actually taste good. Because you know how you get some sprinkles and they're just kind of waxy? These
Hair
ones
noodle
actually,
wax.
yeah, totally.
You're waxing your car with.
Right? And they're like gummy or they like disintegrate. Let's move that down there. Okay, so for this cake, I'll move down here. I'm planning to do a little bit of a sprinkle border just right along the bottom edge here of the cake. There are a few different techniques to do a sprinkle border. So I will show you all the different techniques and then we'll just get to sprinkling. All right. I like to put my sprinkles in a bowl. It just makes it easier than dealing with this. I have tipped these off the counter way too many times and it's just been a sprinkle explosion on the floor. I had my youngest daughter when she was little, she snuck a bottle of sprinkles into her bedroom and was playing with them and they went everywhere. And to this day,
Oh God.
we still find sprinkles like in cracks of floorboards, underneath the baseboards. So we take good care of sprinkles now.
Parents are chiming in with complete understanding in the chat.
Oh gosh, right? They're like the glitter of the baking world. It gets everywhere. Okay. So
Katie, one thing I thought you said that was really interesting was before you started baking, you didn't really see yourself as a creative person. And in the years that I've known you, I literally can't imagine you not as a creative person.
oh really? Oh
Mhm.
gosh. No, I never like it was never into art or anything like that growing up. And I didn't think that was me. Until I started doing this and like it's funny because you think like buttercream, but it's like people will use pastels or water paint or charcoal or whatever. And buttercream is just it's my art palette of choice, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
In the chat, it's your artistic medium.
Yes, exactly. That's the word I'm looking for. Can you guys see this clearly enough?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Very clear.
Okay, so for a couple different techniques for sprinkles, anytime that I'm doing a lot of sprinkles, I will use the hand technique. You will put some sprinkles in the palm of your hand. And what you're going to do is very gingerly, you're going to place the edge here of your hand almost up against the side of the cake. And you're going to let the sprinkles fall. So you're going to tip it this way towards the cake. And as they fall, bring it up. There you go. You see that?
So delicate.
Yeah. So you just want to do it nice and slow. And you don't ever actually want contact from your hand to the cake because then you're going to end up dragging the sprinkles and then they're going to get covered in frosting. You're going to ruin that nice silky finish that you worked so hard to get. And then you're just going to continue on that way. Dragging them up ever so gently. There you go. And you'd go around the entire edge of the cake, working your way around until you get to the start again. And then if you want to go back, and let's say I want to fill in this little hole here, just go in and place it in. Also, the nice thing with these sprinkles, you can press them into your fingertip and then you can place them like this if I wanted to do polka dots or something like that. Now, another technique for sprinkles, if you just want like a little sprinkle border edge around the bottom, you would just Oh, and also when applying sprinkles, what I should tell you is I always place one of my giant cookie sheets underneath and then it catches everything. That way they'll stay food safe. And I can reuse those sprinkles.
That was going to be one of my questions was what do you do with the sprinkles that fall?
Yeah. I'll just put a big thing and then you can keep reusing them and you're good to go. So another
Priya
technique,
said you eat them.
yeah, you eat them. Yeah, there you go. A baker's snack, right?
Sprinkle tax.
Another one is just putting the sprinkles here. I'm actually going to place them on my cake turntable. And then using my offset spatula, I'm just going to scoop them and press. Scoop them and press. Just like that. And you're going to keep going all the way around. And this way, you're just going to get a minimal, cute little sprinkle border like that. Now, if you were using a Swiss meringue buttercream, anything, oh no, sorry, the American buttercream. So if your cake has already crusted over and you think, oh shoot, I need to put sprinkles and now they're not going to stick. So you have the option of just applying another thin layer of frosting to wherever you want the sprinkles to go, and then you can stick the sprinkles to that. Okay, so I am going to, for this cake, I want to just do a minimal sprinkle border. So I'm going to just put my sprinkles all around the edge here.
This would be such a good ASMR channel, just like having a mic right up there where you're scraping those sprinkles.
It would. It's got some interesting noises in cake decorating. I love the sound of when you pipe the frosting. It's like this really subtle sound, but it's very soothing, even for me.
Bria is wondering, what are you doing with this cake? Are you going to sell this one? Are you eating it at home?
So anything that I do for my blog, I will, once it's all done and I've taken, you know, all the pictures and the photos and all the content that I want with it, I'll always enjoy a slice myself. So I fully plan on having a slice for my lunch dessert. And then I save a piece or two for the girls and my husband. He will like a slice of cake sometimes for work. So I'll wrap one up and freeze it and toss it in the cake fridge there. And then the other times they just get given away. I'll wrap up slices and I'll give it to the neighbors. Maybe I know a friend, a family member that I just think I can bless with cake. I go and drop off cake. There's also behind my house here, we back onto an elementary school that my girls go to. And so oftentimes, and with this one, I will just, whatever's left over, throw some plastic wrap on it, and I'll just walk over to the school and drop it off in the teacher's lunchroom. And then they can have cake for whatever for their day. A nice little treat for the teachers because they work so hard for us.
Yeah, that as a blogger, that is something you hate to have food waste because I make so much food that I am, and we've moved, so I don't have a lot of neighbors around here that I know other than my sister, but I am always giving things away, like throwing things in my freezer. So I'm like, someone drops by, I'm like, hey, do you want some sweet rolls or muffins? Like, I have too many, please eat these because you hate to go to all that effort and then like throw anything away ever.
Yes. Food waste.
So yeah, food gifting is a continuation of that love language, I think. So
Yeah, absolutely. And it's always nice to have a freezer full of treats for when somebody does stop by unexpected and you can pull something out, or you know, there's a family that needs a little bit of extra help or is sick or whatever. Yeah,
And I'm sure those teachers appreciate it abundantly because
yes, absolutely. And hey, you know, if it gets my kids a little preferential treatment, I'm not above that.
oh no, of course not.
All right, so we have our sprinkles kind of all around the base here. Like I said, it's just a little sprinkle edge, nothing too bold. And then I'm just going to use my offset spatula again just to clean up the edge here of the sprinkles.
Katie, I wanted to say I love the color of that cake. It's gorgeous. It's like champagne. It's richness. It's,
Thank you.
yeah.
It's a very light chocolate buttercream. So it's not like a dark, fudgy, rich chocolate. It's almost like a milk chocolate, which is my favorite. Okay, there we go. So, I'm just gonna get these little pat in. Make sure they're good. So when you guys see this cake later, if you do on Instagram or anywhere else, you'll know that in the back, there's just a jumble of sprinkles, but you'll only see the nice front.
It's our little secret.
Yeah, totally. Okay. So now that we have our border, I'm thinking for this cake, I'm going to keep it pretty classic because I'm envisioning like birthday cake vibes for this vanilla chocolate cake. And so my favorite part of a cake is a swirl. I love a good cake swirl, mostly because it's just extra frosting that I can consume and it's okay because it's part of the cake, right? So we're going to do swirls all around the top of the cake. And to incorporate the vanilla cake that's inside, I have some vanilla Oreos that we're going to use as well on top. So I was going to actually see if you guys wanted to help me decide what kind of swirl we're going to do. So I will show you a few of my go-to swirls and then you guys can help me decide. So this is just I always keep a plate here where I put my tools and stuff on to somewhat keep the mess contained. And I use disposable piping bags. And I will show you my favorite tips.
And where do you buy things like the piping bags and tips? These might be obvious, but to me, as someone who's very much a cake novice, I don't know.
So I'm in Canada, so we have what's called Michael's. Do you guys have Michael's there?
We do.
Okay. So Michael's will have lots of bags, tips. Walmart will sometimes carry them as well. You can do Amazon. I think Joann's will have cake decorating stuff too. Joann's isn't Canadian, so I'm not 100% sure on that. But I buy them like in bulk, like hundreds at a time. And then for tips, you can get like a basic piping tip set from Walmart or Michael's, and it's really not too bad either. Wilton is always the brand usually for my piping tips that I get, and then I'll just do no name or whatever's cheapest for the bags. Okay. So my favorite tips for swirls are going to be, this is the very classic, probably the most popular one you guys have ever seen. It's a Wilton 1M. My second favorite is a Wilton 2D.
Ooh.
And then this one is a Wilton 8B. There you go. I'd say for 90% of my cakes, I use the 1M and the 2D. They're my all-time favorite. I find them, you just get really super flirty, fun, frilly swirls. Now, I don't have a big coupler, so we are going to do a little hack here because I'm going to be changing piping tips. So instead of doing new piping bags for every single piping tip, I will cut my edge. Put my tip in there, secured. And actually, I'll show you guys how to put frosting in a piping bag. So fold the edge over. Cup it around your hand like that. You're going to take your frosting and you're going to scrape it inside the bag, and I just use my hand to clean the spatula. I usually fill my bags up about halfway because any more than that, it's hard to squeeze without it shooting all up the other end.
I know we all really appreciate that you're taking the time to explain like each individual step, because I imagine that a lot of these things are second nature to you, but certainly not to many of us.
And then we're just going to snip the tip off. And then you can see here, I'm just twisting it. And this just gives me a lock. And then when I'm piping, this twisted part always goes in between my forefinger and my thumb. And this is how I keep it closed. This is what's called your squeezing hand. So this is where all the pressure is going to come from. So you can see as I squeeze, it's going to work its way down. And your other hand, this one, is going to be your directing hand. So this hand is going to direct wherever I go with my bag here. And this hand is going to be squeezing. So you're never squeezing with this hand. You're always squeezing from the end here. And so you're working together. So I'm squeezing and then I'm going to be moving. So I'm going to put my frosting inside this other bag.
This hack alone, Katie, is mind-blowing to me because I have couplers everywhere and the changing is so messy and you waste frosting. So this little tip right here is blowing my mind. I love this because
it works well. I'll do couplers when I'm doing like little tiny tips.
Yeah.
For the big ones like this, I just
Brilliant.
double it.
I'm making an ice cream cake for Father's Day on Sunday for my husband, and I use whipped cream to frost, but I have different colors, and so this is
there you go.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Good. And then again, I'm just going to make sure that lock is in place here. Okay, so this we have the 1M. The 1M is your very classic swirl. So I'm going to do it up here, but I'm going to move it up higher so you guys can see better. Or maybe I'll just move my computer down so you can see. Get you a nice close up here. Okay. Let's clean off this frosting and then make it look nicer for you guys. Okay. So when we're doing a classic swirl, you're going to start in the middle. And I want you to think about doing a circle around. And then when you get back to that starting place, you're going to start to build up in the circle. And then as you want to finish it, you're going to start to go back in. All right. So let's go. So I'm going to squeeze with this hand, and I'm going to direct with this hand. my frosting gonna come? Oh, it's bent over. There we go. Okay, there we are. Okay, so I'm starting. Now I'm going to go around in a circle. Around in that circle. Now I'm back to where I started. Now I go up. Around in a circle. Build it as high as you want. Now start going in. And when you get to this point, I want you to stop squeezing. And you're going to pull off. And there is your very typical swirl.
Yum. It's so
There you
cute.
go.
I wish I could just reach through the screen and
Yeah, I just want to stick my finger in and lick it.
I
Right?
know, just like give it a swipe, right? That is probably why I like the swirls. They're just so swipeable. Okay. So that is our Wilton 1M swirl. Now with the same tip, what I can do is make a really easy rosette. So it's the exact same idea, but this is just going to be a flat one. So you're going to start in the middle, you're going to go around the outside, and you can make it as big as small as you want. And when you're done, you're going to stop pressure and pull off.
so
There's
simple,
your
but so beautiful.
typical rosette swirl. So you can make it big, small as you want. You can also do things like
You can't see Katie's face because she's feeding herself this frosting, and when we see her next, her whole face will just be
I'm
covered.
pretending that I'm putting it in the bowl, but I'm actually scooping it. What else you can do with this tip? You can just do a simple star drop. It'll be a dollop. You can do borders. You could do a braid border. So you go like this.
Wow.
Braid border. You can do a like a wreath or a rope border.
Wow. You make it look so easy, and I know that is not.
That frosting consistency is gorgeous, Katie, because it makes such a difference in how things like this turn out with consistency, and it's beautiful.
Does. It's the smoother the better for any kind of piping work. It makes your life so much easier when you can get the consistency right.
Yep.
Katie, what is your favorite pattern or border to do with that specific tip?
I love doing swirls. And then typically with the swirl, I love a cookie in between. I call it like my cake crown. And then second is a rope border, what I just did. They are very classic and iconic for cake, really. Okay, so that was our Wilton 1M. I'm going to quickly switch this out and do the two. So right now, I'm just going to take out that tip, pop in my other tip, and put my bag back in. Okay. So all those piping techniques that I did with my first tip, I can do the exact same stuff with this second tip. It's going to look very similar, but it's going to be, the edges are going to be a lot more ruffly looking and a little bit more dainty and feminine with the tip that goes in here. So a classic swirl, same thing, start in the middle, work your way out. Then you do your rosette.
It almost looks like more defined than
Yeah.
the first one.
You'll notice in the rosette, it's more open than the other one. The other one was more closed. Now, one of my favorite ways to use this tip is making ruffles. So there's two ways you can go, just keep it straight. What I'm going to do is go completely up. I'm going to apply even pressure and I'm just going to start at the bottom and I'm going to bring it up. So we're going to go like this. We're going to apply pressure and slowly bring it up. And then you're going to get just this beautiful little ruffle.
It's gorgeous.
Isn't
Yeah.
it pretty?
Ribbon candy, but in frosting form.
Yes. And then you can do another ruffle. Instead of just going straight up, I'm going to move it and I'm going to just kind of twist my wrist like this. And it's going to create a ruffle, but it's going to not be quite as uniform as this one. So we're going to squeeze and then I'm going to start going sideways like that. You still get a ruffle, but it's just not quite as uniform.
Yep.
Okay, scrape this off again.
Reed said that you have inspired him to just spend his afternoon making borders on parchment paper.
I love it. I think it's so soothing. Something about piping borders and swirls and stuff is just like, it's my kind of therapy. It just soothes me and relaxes, and I have no anxiety. And that's like what baking, what I think I fell in love with it was it just got me out of my own head and out of my own thoughts. And it quieted all that chatter that goes into your head.
And that you can reuse the frosting to keep just playing is also
Yep.
you can just keep we'll check in later. We'll see how many times you've reused your frosting for today.
Yeah, totally. And if you are playing with your frosting like this, or if anytime you're making a cake and you notice it's getting too soft just from the heat of your hand, just pop it in the fridge and then it'll firm back up. You'll be good.
Katie, Allie is wondering, do you have to do hand stretches before piping, especially an involved cake, so that you don't get cramps?
Yes. So the cakes that I kind of like my signature style, which is the very intricate piping around the middle of the cake with like all the rosettes and the dots and the teeny tiny like pointillism and stuff. They take me hours because I do have to stop and stretch my hands because I get like really bad hand cramps. Just because the stopping, the starting, and the constant pressure of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if you get really bad, you're gonna get like gnarled fingernails. Like I'm starting to get arthritis in them and whatnot, but it is what it is. All right, so I'm just pressing more buttercream down here. I will show you this last tip and then we'll pipe the border. So this is a 8B. It's a big tip. You can see it. I'm actually going to need to trim my bag a little bit to get all the prongs out. There we go.
Do you find that with like bigger piping tips like that, it is more difficult to kind of have control? I find that one to be more intimidating.
This tip is, it is intimidating because I find in the bigger tips, if you make a little bit of a mistake, it's more noticeable.
Mm.
You just need to go slower and just practice. So my piping bag here is actually sticking through the edge. So I need to go back and trim the actual bag with the frosting. Okay, so again, we can do all the exact same techniques as we did with the other ones, just with this tip. Just want to make sure it's going to come through. Yep. There we go. Okay. We'll do a classic swirl. Oh, there's a sprinkle in there. There. This one I use a lot for dots like that. I think they're really beautiful. And then this style of tip makes a really beautiful rope border. Now it uses a ton of frosting just because of the thickness, but it is gorgeous. So you're gonna start and go around.
Oh my word. I need a graham cracker. I just need to go in.
If you guys were closer, I would say, come on over.
No.
I'll eat this cake.
Oh, so yummy.
I'm about to move to Prince George just so I can be the next door neighbor.
I love it. Absolutely. We actually have a house for sale not too far. So
Perfect.
more the merrier. Okay, so you guys, out of all those tips, what kind of border do you guys want to do? Should we do a rope border? Should we do rosettes? Should we do swirls? What do you guys think we should do for this cake?
We should use 2D for whatever because I didn't do your two bag method, and that's what I have the most icing in.
Okay, let's do it. Reed says 2D, we're going 2D.
Do it. Do it.
All right, I'm just gonna get all my frosting out here.
Allie said it's amazing how much thought and how many decisions go into the decorating the cake between like the tip, the style of piping, what type of like rosettes or the border that you're doing.
Yeah.
Mind blowing.
I mean, obviously I'm protective of cake because I'm a cake maker, but I think a lot of people don't, well, and it goes same with your guys's, like the food that you guys make. People don't, they see the final product and it's beautiful and it's delicious, but they don't really understand like everything that goes into it. Like, you know, when you're building flavor profiles, and you're balancing the palette of it, what goes into it all, right? Okay. By the end of a cake decorating session, you should like be completely covered. It's usually like buttercream everywhere here, and I'm trying to
In your
somewhat-
ears, like, yeah, it's just everywhere.
They
I'm
say
doing
it's
it
the best
right then.
moisturizer.
Yeah, you're doing it right then. You're covered. Yeah.
Katie, when you do your really intricate cakes, do you sketch them out first?
No, I have never been a cake sketcher. It actually gives me a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
So I believe in letting the cake speak to you, which sounds super airy-fairy. But I think that as you start to build it and work it, I just follow where my instinct and intuition leads me. I think a cake should have personality and movement. And so I just go with what it's telling me to go with. So I don't do any sketches or anything. Sometimes I'll know like, okay, I need to work within a certain color palette. And if it's like a really feminine color palette or a masculine color palette, that will kind of direct me in where I should go with it. But that's really it for any kind of planning.
Spoken like a true artist. That's also what Priya said. It's the artist in you.
Okay, I'm gonna choose a clean bag again, just so I can have a little bit more control. And my 2D. I should have just enough frosting to do this border. Okay. We're good. Okay, so where did I put my cookies? There we go.
Katie, is it okay with you if I take a couple of photos and like maybe a small video clip just to share on social media while you're working?
Of course. Okay. Clean my station here a little bit. All right, so when you are going to place any type of cake top border, there we go. The key to having it evenly spaced on top is working in opposites. Because if you go just starting to go around the edge, unless you're just doing a rope border, you're always going to end up with one space being too big or too small. And it just kind of looks a little wonky. So
That's such a good tip because my propensity would be like, oh, I'm just going to equally space it. And then you end up at the end with two that are right next to each other.
Exactly. So with these cookies, I always start by placing cookies first and then the frosting. I find that when you do frosting and then cookies, the cookies will pull at the frosting and then you don't get as crisp lines anymore. So I treat my cake top like a clock. So I'm going to start with my 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock. And place them in the frosting, push them down a little bit. And then I'm going to rotate my cake. And then again, I'm going to do my 12 o'clock and my 6 o'clock. And now it's up to me in between these ones. I just judge it. Do I want one? And then I'm going to have a big swirl, or do I want two? And then I'll have smaller swirls. This one I'm going to do smaller swirls. So I'm going to place two in between evenly.
Allie said, now it's starting to look like a classic Katie cake.
Yes. This is one of my favorite ways to do like a party fun cake with the cookies on top and then the swirls in between.
I'd be nervous placing those cookies in case you make a mistake. Then what?
That's the wonderful thing about frosting is if you make a mistake, you scrape it off and do it again. It's so forgiving. Okay, so we have our cookies here on top. They're all evenly spaced. So now I know my swirls are all going to be even. So we just start at the top. Let me get this nice and close for you guys. Okay.
I feel like you have a front row seat. This is great. Just
All right, so I'm just gonna go right over top of it. And again, you're gonna start making sure you squeeze with your backhand. You're directing with this hand. And I'm gonna go, just thinking if I wanna do, all right, this is the back of my cake. Okay. We'll do a classic swirl. And then we just go around.
It really is, Priya. She said it's perfection. It is. It just well, and it looks like putting the cookies first allows you to make sure that your swirls are really uniform as well.
Absolutely, because they're gonna act as my borders, right? They're hedging me in, so I know how far I can go. This one looks a little big, so I'm gonna just move this over a little bit. There. Can you guys hear that? The sound of the frosting? It's so quiet. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it, but that's the sound that I love. All right.
so fun.
He want that cake, 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 cake.
I love it. There we go. And what I'm thinking is I'm going to grab my spoon here.
Everyone is commenting in the chat about how just gorgeous this looks.
Thanks, guys.
And how you're basically teaching us how to be more impressive people. 'Cause this
Good,
looks
there
so
you
impressive,
go.
and you've broken it down for us step by step.
Well, I hope you guys all try your hand at a party cake. And if you do, you got to take a picture and let me know. So I'm just going to take the sprinkles again, just to bring the sprinkles in. And I'm going to mimic this bottom border. I'm going to mimic it just on the inside here, just for a little extra detail. So I have a spoon. And I'm just going to drop some sprinkles on side there. Plus, it photographs really pretty too. So when I'm taking a cake top shot, add some extra personality.
We're all going to see this picture later and be like, we got to watch her do that in real time.
Totally. And then you'll be like, I know all the secrets that she doesn't tell, or the things that she photoshops out. Okay.
Katie, Jessie said that her kids have been following along making a cake of their own, and it looks nothing like yours, but they're having a blast.
Hey, and you know what? That's all that matters. Because ultimately, as I tell everybody, it doesn't matter what it looks like. Truly, it doesn't matter what it looks like. Anybody, it just matters that you did it with your heart, you did it with love, and that it tastes delicious. And that's all that really matters. And that's all that people really care about for cake, right? It doesn't need to wow a crowd. It just needs to be made from the heart. So that is my cake. This is our cake. I shouldn't even just say it's mine. This is our team cake. So thanks for making this cake. you could literally serve this bad boy up right here. If you don't want to, you can put it in the fridge. It would be good in the fridge like this for up to 5 days. Or if you are super busy and you have an event, you could pop this entire cake in the freezer. You could freeze it for up to like 3 months. I'd cover it in the freezer if I were freezing it that long. And then if you want to thaw it, take it out the night before, put it in the fridge, let it thaw overnight in the fridge. And then you can take it out to continue to thaw room temperature the day that you're going to serve it. You're good to go. That's it. Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, how do you cover it in the freezer?
So what I would do is I would put this for about 2 hours in the freezer as is, let it be solid, and then I would take it out and then get some plastic wrap and gingerly just plastic wrap it. And then I can press the plastic wrap on the sides without like any indentations going because it's already frozen.
Thank you. This was
Yeah.
This was amazing. My mom decorated cakes when I was a kid.
Reed.
And so I did a little bit, and I really did used to take her leftover tips and get a piece of wax paper and practice. But like I learned so many things today from you on just like I used every tip almost like for one way. And that like the rope border and just like the bag in bag thing is like I don't know why I wouldn't be doing that
I know.
to switch tips, but this was like incredible for me. So I really appreciate your time.
So
My
amazing.
cake looks nothing like yours, but I did like practice some tips.
Yes.
Oh,
I love it.
I just practiced some like little
hold it back up.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh, I love the dollops on the edge, the bottom border you did. Those are fabulous.
that was because I had already divided my icing into 3 bags. My buttercream was already in 3 bags. I had a feeling I knew which tips you probably used, but so yeah.
I love it.
Katie, everyone has been chiming in just like with deep appreciation for you letting us into your magic, for just taking the time to teach us about this. We are all just in awe, and I'm sure that every single one of us, even those of us who have decorated cakes in the past, have learned something here. So thank you so much for taking the time to teach us today.
Of course. No, thank you for letting me kind of share my obsession with you guys. And it was super fun. If you guys ever need some like cake SOS, please just let me know. I'm happy to help. I'm happy to walk you through baking, decorating, anything for a cake. It's my love language. So I wish I could slice this up and share it all with you guys, but
As do we, for sure.
I'll be on Instagram later and I'll eat a piece there and you guys can see it there.
Jessie, does your daughter want to show us her cake? Jessie?
Yeah.
Hold it up. Oh my goodness.
Look at the sprinkles.
That's beautiful.
You did a flower on top.
Goodness,
Oh,
you did an amazing job.
Goodness.
Thank you.
Wow.
I did it all on my own.
Yeah.
Of course
You
you
should come
did.
and work for me. You did an amazing job.
A great job.
can you show us your cake one more time?
Hold
You
it
want
up.
to show your cake one time?
Yeah. Mine. It's mine.
Wow.
Oh,
Beautiful.
like a mini Jessie.
What?
She's like your mini me, Jessie. I
Yeah.
mean, it's
Mine now.
She definitely is.
so cute.
Hold on, bud.
Well, thanks
those
again,
are
Katie.
amazing. If you guys want to come and do cake with me, everybody is welcome. So if you're ever up in Prince George, Canada, let me know and you can come and cake with me. But otherwise, I hope you guys have a lovely day. And that's it. That's all.
Thanks, Katie. Wonderful class.
Thank you. And everyone, thank you so much for being here. It's so fun to learn together, and can't wait for Jessie's workshop on food styling next month.
Yay. Yes, that will be fun.
Putting you
we'll
on the
talk about that. But yes, I'm looking forward to it.
We'll definitely talk about it. Everyone have a wonderful weekend, and thank you so much for being here.